what did you think whenever every time you moved?
Look, try to imagine, okay? I mean, it would be better, I think, if you would imagine the whole situation and go out of that, rather than ask questions that are completely outside of that situation, okay? How did I feel? So imagine that you are 9 years old, separated from your father and mother, that you are alone, that you know that you are in life danger, that the city where you are is constantly bombed day and night, that houses are changing into dust, that most people die, that on the streets there are thousands of corpses. So imagine that someone comes and runs there and says, you have to move away from here because they, I think that you are Jewish, so we are going to go somewhere else. And then she takes you on the street, and while you are walking, there are the bombs falling, and there are people being taken to the Danube and they are shot dead, and then finally we walk, and then finally find a house. We go inside that house, and there is somebody who gets a lot of money, and then she puts me up for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and then I have to go again. So, can you imagine?
Yes, I can imagine.
Okay.
But I understand that, but I'm asking, like, in your mind, like, what was, I understand that you were going through fear and that you were believing that you were going to survive, but was there anything else that was going through your mind during the time that you were...
You cannot, if you are in life danger, there are no other thoughts in your mind but fear, pure fear and horror, and fear for your parents and that you stay alone. They are the only thoughts. You don't think in the meantime of a pink dress, or of a ball, or of a game, or of a boy, or of anything else, but of pure life, because your life is threatened.
So were you separated from your brother whenever you traveled, or is it just due to...
It never traveled.
Well,
she came and picked us up, we were running on the streets. So, sure, I mean, I was only in the ghetto with my brother. After that, I was for 2 months alone.
Well, when you were in the ghetto, did you ever think about, like, what was going on with your brother? Like,
I mean, of course, I mean, all the time. And what is going on with my parents.
So you were never, so did your parents stay in the ghetto? You've only moved?
We were for 3 months in the summer in the ghetto house, all of us together. And then from the end of October until the beginning of December, we were separately living in places where Erzi has taken us. Several, I mean, she had a cousin somewhere there. There was someone who was willing to do that for money, and the 4 of us, we lived separately. And at the end we came together because there was a so-called White Cross hospital where we then hid the last 2 weeks of the siege of Budapest.
I didn't know that. Can you describe the White Cross hospital?
There were hundreds of people and we lived in the basement.
So did they have like bed sets, or did they just left y'all in the basement?
There were just straw mattresses on the basement, and there were lying some 150 people.
I think that's about all my questions.
Read about it so that you have an idea about what it was.
I tried.
It's difficult to get it from another person.
Yeah.
Living under completely normal circumstances, and then asking another person about it. You would need to read. You haven't read Night?
Like I said, I was going to, but I have, right now I'm reading a book called The Things I Carried because my teacher is making us read that book. It's about the Vietnam War.
I see. Incomparable.
Yeah. I'm going to read Night in your book this summer. So.
Okay. So, you need to know what it was because it's difficult to understand it from answers that somehow presuppose that you know what it was. you know, because, I mean, how can a 9 years old feel?
Actually, I have one more question. Did your son ever was affected by it? Because he did once he learned about it in school. Did he? Your son?
Oh, sure. Both of my children are very much affected by it.
Did
not in school they heard about it. They heard from me about it.
So what were the things that you told them about?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
And were they frightened for you, or they just couldn't believe that you've gone through that?
I don't think they were frightened. I think that they understood what it is, and that they lived very much with this understanding of knowing what it is, and they know it today. I mean, it is a major part of their life. It has always been, and it is, sure.
Okay. Well, that was my last question. Thank you, Ms. Ozsvath.
Yeah.
It was nice meeting you.